Hi there, it's Andrea from 19 Design. It's August 20th, 2026, and this is a quick tutorial video about how to edit sections of your Squarespace website. We've made lots of changes here in August, and so you can disregard any previous videos or instructions that you have. I will add timestamps to the video if you need to jump to a specific section. For right now, what we're going to cover is the homepage, how to use content sections, which there are two on the homepage, and then your blog / impact stories, how those are being displayed and how to update or edit those. So those are the three goals for this video. And we'll try to keep it nice and concise. So I'm here on the homepage of the website. And there are two sections that are called content sections. They're also referred to as list sections sometimes if you're looking at Squarespace's support. So they would be this section here about the categories of funding, and then down here when we have a couple of stats here. So how do we edit these? I've made this really easy to edit so that if you did want to swap out photos or if funding priorities change, etc., that it would be very easy to do that without having to redesign or make any changes to the design of the site. So if we are in edit mode here and we hover over this section, we get this little pop-up. It's how we know it's a list section. And I'm going to go up here to edit content. And you'll see here what we have is three tabs. The first one says elements. So this is telling us what aspects of this section we're displaying. So in this case, just a title, the image, the title, and the body. We don't have any buttons displayed. And then over here on the second tab is the content. We'll come back to that in just a second. And then the design, these are set pretty specifically right now. So when you change these, it changes the look and feel of the section. So I would recommend that you not make any changes under the design tab, but instead you're just going to be focused on the content tab. So if you would want to change the wording of the title, you would just click on title, and then right here is the title of the section. You would just replace here, keeping in mind this is stretching just to 2 lines. So you want to keep that in mind as if you edit the text. And then for each individual block, if we click on one, you'll see that it has an image and then it has a title. We don't have a description, so that would be like additional text under the title. We're just keeping this very simple. We also don't have alt text here because these are more just for decoration. They're not really conveying any meaning to the website. So in that case, we don't need alt text there for accessibility. So you can replace the photo just by clicking on replace and then selecting either an image from the library or uploading your own file. Remember, if you upload a new file, it will need to be named specifically so that you can find that in your asset library. I do not recommend that you use the Squarespace stock photos as they are very large file sizes. So that's how to change the content in here. Just click on it and then you could change the title here and or change the photo. You can also reorder these. So I have ordered them in the priority that Angie and I discussed when doing the presentation. But if you would want to put them in a different order, you would just hover over the little grid here. You get the 4-way arrow and then you can click and drag them around. You can also add another one that would require some changes in the design tab because right now it is set to just display 4 columns. But if you wanted it to display fewer or more columns, then you could just use the plus sign here. Then you would add the content here under content. So that is how to use the list section. Now this section down here is exactly the same. As you can see, we have different things selected. So I'm going to click again on edit the content, and under elements, I'm just showing a title and a body. I've styled this behind the scenes using some code to make it a little more elevated, but I don't have any of those other features turned on. So when we come into content and just click here, this is the title and this is the text underneath of it. So again, you would change it the same way. It's just being displayed a different way. And again, everything here in design is set pretty specifically, so you don't want to change this unless you wanted to add a 3rd column. Then of course, again, here you would add the text, and then under design, you would add, use the plus sign to add a 3rd column. So that is how to use your content list sections. There are just 2 here on the home page. Again, this section here and your data section. Okay, the third thing I want to show you in the video is the blog. So if we come over to our Impact, you've got a nice redesigned page here for Impact, and a couple of elements here. What you'll see though is if you were to go and try to edit this, you would not be able to edit this. If you hover over this, it says summary. And if you double click it, you're just going to get some design options, right? Because this is not a content block. This is a summary block. And what is it a summary of? If we click on content, we can see that it's a summary of the Impact Stories page. So we're going to go over to that page to make the changes, but I wanted to show you where this display was coming from. Now, we do have this set to show 4 items. So if at any time you want to increase the number of Impact Stories, you would need to come here and increase the number of items as well. If you just leave it at 4, you can just turn one off and turn on a new one. And then this bottom part of the section is just a gallery. So if at any time you wanted to change or add photos here, you could click Edit Gallery, click the plus sign, and you can upload any new image here to display in your gallery. So I thought I'd just point that out while I was here as well. Okay, so how do we edit the stories? We're going to go over here to Impact Stories. It's under the not linked section, because what is linked is the summary page. What is not linked is the information behind the summary. So we're going to click on Impact. And you'll see here are your 4 stories. So there are 2 steps to changing the stories. The first step is to change, to go under the settings. So let's say you're going to add a new story. What I would do is I would come in here to the 3 dots here, and I would say duplicate. And that's going to create a copy. You can see right here, I put it right in the title for you. So then under that copy, the first step we would do is click on settings. And we have 3 things we need to change in settings. We need to upload or change our image. So in this case, we would hit remove image, and then we would add a new image. So let's just add a dummy one for now here. And then the second step is to change the excerpt text. That's what we're seeing on that summary page. So you would just type in your new text here, and then you would want to change your URL. So right now, and I'm just using the name of the organization. So this would be org name. So those are the 3 things you want to change under the settings: the image, the excerpt, and the URL. And then we would click save. So now we've changed and then this is saying, oh no, I can't find that page because we just changed the URL. So we changed behind the scenes, but we didn't change anything about the actual post itself. So then when we clicked back on that post, we come up here to edit, and we would, oh, of course, it's going to give me it's hanging for just a second. Please bear with me. Okay, so when we click on edit, now we would edit our title. So this would be our new org name up here. And then right here, we would just copy and paste whatever text we have. This would be our new text for new org. And then we would have a new story. So we would then in that case, we would hit publish. Right now, I'm just going to click save and exit. But you can see here that this is marked as a draft. So no one's going to be able to see that. It's not on our live page because we haven't published it. But if it were published, it would kick one of these off. Now, which one, right? You would need to play around with the published dates, because what it's going to do is show the most recent post first and then go from there. So you would need to go in and play around with the dates in here, which you would do again under settings. We would go to options, and once it is published, let me show you with one that is actually published. Options and publish. Down here is your calendar. Why it's defaulting to 2019, I think it's because that's when maybe the site was established. We would go down here and mess with the dates and pick the most recent date. That one would be first, and then so on. So when it comes time to update these, you're welcome to reach out to me for a little refresher, but it should be, hopefully these instructions will get you through that. So those are the biggest changes that were made to the website in terms of how to make changes. Everything else should be pretty straightforward as you were used to, just regular text blocks, buttons. Everything else is kind of just designed to be very easy maintenance and to need very little work. But of course, if you have questions, you can let me know.